The hole has been gouged out and the surrounding walls pockmarked with shrapnel from the latest weapon to be unleashed on the Syrian people by their own president. The weapon is banned internationally, but here the civilians talk of cluster bombs raining down on their homes.
All those pitted holes are the cluster bombs.
هذا كله من هذا ما انفجر مو تراب وطري.
We never heard before when a president will throw cluster bombs at his people.
Bashar al-Assad's regime denies using these, but when we went to Tal Rafat in northern Aleppo, we were shown scores of cluster bombs, many unexploded and still deadly, but kept by the civilians as evidence of what they believe are war crimes.
When did this land? 10 days ago.
The danger of cluster bombs is that they scatter bomblets over a wide area, and many don't immediately explode. These are some of those collected by the people in Tal Rafat.
These holes are where the cluster bombs landed, and because they were showered over a field, which is mainly soft soil, that's one of the reasons why they didn't go off. But a number of them didn't go off when they landed on the roofs and ceilings of houses. So many of these people have got unexploded bombs in their homes now. The Assad regime has been stepping up its airstrikes, dropping cluster bombs, but also, as this rare footage shows, homemade barrel bombs packed with explosives and equally indiscriminate. The centre of Aleppo city is strewn with rubble. This was once a mosque, flattened by one of those barrel bombs. Nothing is off limits, it seems, to the regime. Yet somehow the rebels are inching forward, street by street, often using weapons and bombs they've made themselves. The shock absorbers are from a motorbike. The handlebars are too. They're now being used to guide the rebels' makeshift anti-aircraft gun. They've all but given up waiting for help from outside, and the rebels are building their own arsenal. They each have their own homemade hand grenade. One of the commanders in Aleppo shows us what they're taking on Assad's tanks and troops with. There are Molotov cocktails loaded with petrol and strips of tyre which will burn for some time. There are hand grenades packed with explosives and metal shards to cause maximum damage. And they've made rockets which they can fire from machine guns. The metal tube is a rudimentary silencer so they can take on the regime snipers. The lack of response from the West to their continued appeals for arms will be remembered long after the fighting finally stops here. After the revolution is over, how will the Syrian people feel towards Britain and America?
Of course we are going to boycott them. We sold our own houses to fund this revolution and they didn't help us.
Iran. The commander and bomb maker tries out the fresh stock. The first Molotov cocktail fails to explode. But they have more luck with the second. They say they can make their own hand grenades now in less than 10 minutes. But they are no real match against the regime's weaponry. The rebels are certainly getting stronger with piecemeal help from sympathetic neighbours. But both sides in this conflict still think they can win this, and the second winter of war is only weeks away. Alex Crawford, Sky News in Aleppo.